Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Two Buds One Podcast. This is episode 50. I'm your host, the Techno Jelly, with my co-host Alchem Games. Alchem, it's been a while since we've actually done a podcast. We had I guess what's the word I'm looking for? Like a seesaw of me not being able to do it, then you not being able to do it, then me not being able to do it, then me not being able to do it. All that, I guess, real life stuff getting in the way, kind of.
Season break.
Yeah, we're breaking for Pride Month. That was it. So most of the stories, honestly, I thought about getting stuff from all their times, but honestly, luckily for us, other than like a couple things, it was actually a pretty slow week in terms of news. Other than the fact that the big conferences / events happened, and honestly, a lot of them were they were cool, but I don't know, do you remember any of the cool stuff that was announced during then? Honestly, I don't even remember.
Nothing really
It hasn't
comes to mind standing out.
Yeah, the shows themselves were fine, but it wasn't a crazy I will never forget about it moment.
There was never a standout kind of moment of games or any announcements that really stuck to mind.
Yeah.
At all.
Okay. The only one is the new Resident Evil game. Capcom's new Resident Evil,
Resident Evil
9.
We're going back. We're going back to Raccoon City. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, it's So that one was a big one, and also because they faked not it being there in the beginning of the show, because they had this whole thing in the middle of the show where the director came up on video and said, we're still working on it, please be patient with us, and at the very end they showed the trailer, which is cool.
Guess our patience were
their patience the patience paid off. Luckily it's also you can argue that there hasn't really been a really bad Resident Evil game. You could argue Resident Evil 6 was kind of bad, but it just, I think for a lot of people, it didn't feel like a Resident Evil game. Not necessarily that it was a bad game. You know what I mean?
It was an action game, and
it was an action game.
It
wasn't a horror game.
Yeah. Still within the Resident Evil universe. It just wasn't what
Resident
we
Evil
got used to with.
Yeah. Resident Evil 4 and 5 are not horror games. They're action horror games, but Resident Evil 6 was just an action game. There's still a bunch of scary, intense moments, I would say, in Resident Evil 4. 5, it's a little less so just because of the co-op nature, and co-op games, it's harder to have, tension in co-op games, I would say. But they still had, some tense, scary moments, relatively so, considering what the game genre was.
Yeah.
I really hope they end up remastering Resident Evil 5, because I think that'd be really fun to play.
I'm pretty sure they're planning to. It's just
yeah. Especially with the new engine.
They're waiting for the new engine, for them to get used to the new engine, for them to...
Yeah. Resident Evil 4 was made in the new engine, I'm pretty sure. The remake of Resident Evil 4. Because the new engine is what the Resident Evil 7's engine was.
Yeah.
So hopefully that goes well. Also, apparently, I don't know if you've heard this, Alchem, Resident Evil 9 is going to be the first Resident Evil game that is going to be you're going to be able to play third person or first person, I think.
Oh, good.
If that is true. I heard something about that. So I hope it is interesting that way, and I hope it's not blatantly obvious that one perspective is the way to play the game. You know what I mean? You really want to play
you want to play a horror game, you gotta play first person mode. Do you want to play an action game? You have to play a third person. It's
technically the Fallout the Fallout 3, Fallout 4, you can technically play them in third person, but the game is really made to be played in first person.
I'd assume that regardless, there are some moments that will be better in one version than the other, because third person, if something's coming up from behind you or drops behind you, you'll probably see it because the camera's just panned a little behind you. But in first person, you won't see it. You'll just hear it, and then when you just look behind you, then you get the scare.
Yeah, so, to be fair though, I recently started playing Resident Evil 4 Remake for the first time, and the camera isn't so far in third person that you can do
No.
that. Like it's
Yeah.
still pretty close. I mean, there are things where you can like corner peek sometimes
Yeah.
with the
Yeah. Yeah.
camera, but honestly, not a lot. And they also are
Yeah.
pretty, I would say they're pretty strategic in terms of like how things block your vision and stuff like that. Though I do have to say, speaking of Resident Evil, have you played the remake, Alchem?
4?
Yeah, Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved it.
How was the game's performance for you? Because I'll tell you,
Um,
my streaming of that game, my first stream of that game was only like an hour long because the game would crash every 10 minutes. Like,
really,
it crashed
didn't.
constantly for me.
I don't remember having an issue like that, and
Yeah.
that was because I never got to play the original. That was my first
Yeah.
playthrough of
Oh,
that.
really? You never played the
Before.
OG Resident Evil 4?
To be honest, I never played the series until just recently, maybe
Really?
about 2 years ago.
Resident
So,
Evil 4 was the first Resident Evil game that I played, and hilariously enough, I played it on the Wii. Resident Evil 4, I played on the Wii for the very first time, and that was when they had like it was like the nunchucks, and you had like the aiming with the Wiimote. Honestly, great time,
oh god,
very fun. It was honestly
huh.
really fun, and it actually worked quite well, from what I remember. And then that's when I played Resident Evil 5 on 360 with my brother, because we played on the couch co-op stuff, because couch co-op still existed then.
Honestly, with a nunchuck, that sounded like it would have been such a fun
Oh
experience.
yeah, it was great, honestly. But luckily for me, apparently this is a very common issue for Resident Evil 4, because it was like error 25 something something something, and when I looked up the error code, it's like it's a very common error code, especially for Capcom games apparently. And basically the whole thing is if you update your drive, make sure your drivers are completely up to date and verify game files, and or just uninstall and reinstall, it'll stop. And so I updated game files, I or updated the drivers, verified game files on Steam, and it never crashed again. So luckily I've been actually being able to play it. But
Oh,
I was
good.
slightly worried. I was like, damn, am I not able to play Resident Evil 4? Because like my computer is still pretty new. Like I have a 4070 Ti still, so like it's not like my computer is terrible, you know? Like all my stuff is relatively, it's like only a couple years old at this point. So yeah, and I turned all the graphics down to medium, even though I think I can technically play them on higher. But I mean, even on medium, the game looks amazing because they just did a really good job with the remake, in my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah, they did.
And I would say, Alchem, from me playing the original to playing the remake, it's they've changed a couple things. They changed a few things, but honestly, it's still very close to one to one. Like they changed a lot of small details. You know what I mean? Like you remember in the very beginning, in the very beginning village scene, or like
Yeah,
uh
when you're
like the
driving in
police,
with
the two
yeah.
cops, how the cops die is slightly different. Both of the cops die in the original. From what I remember, they both die in the like the how the one gets burned alive. They both do that in the original. Um,
Oh,
you also meet the what's his face, the other
what?
guy. I can't remember his name
Uh,
now. The smooth talker guy,
oh,
the
I
one
don't remember
the
his
one that
name.
you get chained up with.
Yeah, yeah,
You
I know
meet
who you're
him
talking
a
about.
lot. He plays a much bigger role in the remake than the first game, the original. The original, he's like there in like chapter like 3 or 4. Like you see him really close
Mhm.
to the end. He's like a small minor character in the other game.
Yeah.
He plays a much bigger
Oh,
part in this one though, which honestly I like.
okay.
His character is basically the same. He just has more lines now, which is good because I think he was a very good character.
Okay. I was
But
about to
yeah,
be like, damn, that's. I'm glad. Okay. Well, okay. Being someone who only got to play the original, I'm
yeah,
actually like, not the original. Being someone who only got to play
play
the
the remake.
remaster, I'm like, oh, okay. Then I'm glad I got to play the slightly more enhanced version that
Oh
has
yeah,
more expansive story of it.
yeah,
It was nice.
and I mean, yeah, they've changed a couple things here and there, but it's pretty close to what the original was, and I've been having a really good time with it. I do have to say, I don't know if the original voice actor for the merchant is the same guy, but if it is, great performance with the remake, and if it's not, then the guy who did it, great replication of whoever the merchant guy is, because the merchant guy is amazing in the original and he's just as good in the remake because he has way more lines. Like before, honestly, he was kind of just like there. Like he would show up randomly and you would be able to buy and sell stuff and like all that kind of stuff. They've also like massively enhanced like how he interacts with you. Because like, you know, those challenges that he does, like the blue pieces of paper, he didn't have those in the original games. That's a new thing. And also his shooting mini game that you can do for him in the elevator. That was in the game, but the rewards are different. Like you didn't have those little things you can attach to your case. I think you got like something to sell to him in the original game if you got like a gold star or something like that. Like that whole gotcha system they did in the new one, that's completely new. But the game itself was there, but I don't remember what you got from it. I think it was just a treasure. I think. Right. Yeah. Okay. Though I do have to say, they did kind of like, I've heard that some of the weapons in the game don't act like they do in the original, and I'm kind of sad because my favorite pistol, the Mauser pistol, is completely destroyed in the remake. I already know like it sucks comparatively to the original, which makes me sad. Which I mean, to be fair, it was just kind of blatantly the best pistol. Sucks. It was kind of just blatantly the best pistol. Like it wasn't actually worth using other pistols. Like when you actually got to know the numbers and when you were doing repeat playthroughs. But you know, it's fine. Overall, it's fine. And yeah, I really also like the knife mechanics are something they also very modernized. Like that stuff was
so nice.
Yeah, and honestly, that's probably because like the game was made in like originally like 2004, the original. So obviously the parrying system didn't exist then, because the knife was just something you can take out randomly and you just used it to finish off enemies most of the time. There was no like instant kill stuff or the sneak kills or the parrying, but that stuff is like a great modernization of the knife.
And I'm over here like, God, that must have sucked. Like to have that knife and not even be able to do any of the stuff you could have done back then. The parry, especially the parry.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's also because I do feel like the projectiles were easier to shoot in the original, because I feel like their projectiles were slower in the original game. Like, but because you can do all the knife parrying stuff, they sped up the projectiles a little bit easier. And I do feel like the remake is a lot more chaotic because everything feels a lot more smoother. So like because you have so much more control over Leon, they can do more things, you know? Like everything is slightly more like the enemies, like all the enemies had all their original moves. Like they haven't like done anything crazy, but like they do them faster or just slightly better, you know what I mean? Like it's just a lot, because everything is more smooth, everything feels a little bit more difficult. Like for instance, I don't think I've ever died to regular enemies in the original games. I think I've died like twice to enemies, or like I've almost died.
I died because of stupid stuff, like I accidentally blew up Ashley with a rocket launcher.
I haven't gotten Ashley yet, so I can't. It's gonna be interesting to see her. Because even though it becomes an escort thing, I think Resident Evil's escort stuff, even in the original, was fine.
They did it right.
They did it right. It wasn't that bad. Ashley doesn't get in the way too badly, and she does have her own moments. The time where you play, even though I've never gone to it, I haven't gone to it. The time where you play as Ashley, that is a remake specific thing that you didn't play as Ashley.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that's when it becomes a true horror game.
Yeah, that becomes a true horror game because you're not Leon.
Yeah.
You're not trained to fight. You don't have guns. Yeah. It was interesting.
And one of the
Ashley gotta get the hell out of my way.
Yeah, I did see
in my way.
I did see some of the people about Resident Evil 9, because we're going back to Raccoon City. Everyone wanted Leon back because it's Leon.
I'm not getting Leon.
And the director or like someone that is involved in making. I think it might have been the director, and he just blatantly said, "Leon is too cool to be in a horror game. He can't be in a straight up horror game because Resident Evil 9
Yeah,
is a
no.
follow up to Resident Evil, like it's part of the trilogy of 7, 8, and 9, and these ones are blatantly horror games like the original three. Right?
Wait, we're getting the mold again?
I don't know about if it's the mold, but like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's going to be
they're
on
trying to
the
go
more
back.
it's going to be on the more horror side of
Yeah,
Resident
they're gonna
Evil.
go with like you said, 7, 8, because
Yeah, they were
with
on the
Ethan,
more
he
yeah,
was not a he's not a soldier. He's not meant to fight. He
yeah.
just happened to find a gun and was able to
Like
shoot because
yeah,
we as a player could do it,
yeah.
but he can't really do it much. And
Mm,
we get to go through that perspective, especially through 7 and 8.
yeah. 8 is definitely a little more actiony than 7, but it's
Hmm.
still a horror game. Like there's
Yeah,
still a lot of
it
horror
still has
moments.
that very good horror aspect.
Resident Evil 4 is an action game with horror elements. And Leon,
Hmm.
because of Leon, like, and also everything Leon says is just like a meme. Like he is not
This
a
man is like a
horror.
walking punchline, one
Yeah,
liner kind of like it's
he's
that's
a B
and
movie. He's a B
there's a
movie
corny,
action
yeah,
horror. He's a B
he's a
movie
B
action
movie
hero.
corny action, like, yeah, he just always had a one liner kind of thing,
Yeah,
and we loved it for it. We loved him for it because
hmm that's
that kind
great.
of levity, especially with all the craziness that was happening and the over the top horror action.
Oh,
Oh, oh, he vanished. The horror was too much for Joey. Oh
you
no.
vanished for me.
But yeah, as for me, I one thing I'm looking forward to. I'm kind of hoping.
Hello.
I was gonna ask Shelly their opinion. We'll wait till they get back though. But I'm over here thinking, man, when that remake of 5 and 6 comes out, are they going to stick to? No, are they gonna stick to the horror or no? Are they gonna stick to
Uh,
the action? Hey, welcome
hello.
back. Yeah, hi.
Yeah,
Your
I could
mom
hear
was
you
you
that entire time. I don't know what happened there.
Oh, you just kind of like vanished. There you go.
Okay, that was weird.
Now you're back. Hi.
All right, so I could hear you that whole time. So keep going.
And so, like I was saying, I kind of am hoping that when the remaster of 5 and 6, hopefully eventually happen, that they try to. I mean, considering that it's going to be a remake, or at least remastering, they try to do slight variations and try
Yeah,
to make it more horror aspect wise.
I
Because
think.
the whole thing is supposed to be, yes,
Yeah,
these are zombies. They're bioengineered zombies, and that's the
yeah,
point of that's part of the horror.
yeah. I think okay. I don't want them to change that much from Resident Evil 5 because I think Resident Evil 5 I do feel like, no offense to Chris, but Chris is just such a funny action hero guy.
Hmm.
Like he Leon is a B movie action hero, don't get me wrong, but like Chris Redfield is the B movie action hero. Like punching a rock to move it is literally his meme. Like you punch like
That's
that
true.
is first of all, if they remake Resident Evil 5, I swear to God, that scene better be in
They
it.
better keep that
That
scene.
that scene better be in it. Chris better
He's
punch
Chris
a rock. In
Boulder
fact,
punching
honestly,
Redfield.
he better punch multiple rocks in the remake. I want him to punch
Okay,
as many rocks as possible.
okay, just because to reiterate the whole fact that he is the action movie hero guy, didn't it wasn't there like a DLC or like an extra story after 7 when Ethan after you finished Ethan's story that was just literally Chris and just like gunning down stuff? Because
I don't know if that was 7.
I gotta remember if that was 7 or 8.
I don't remember
I just
honestly.
remember I just remember there was like a little extra, and it was you get to play as Chris, and you're basically just gunning
Yeah.
down. So
Yeah.
let's see,
It might have been that, but yeah, so like I don't want them to change too much from Resident Evil 5. I think it's Resident Evil 6 that they need to change a little bit because that's when the joke no longer, I just felt like they went too far. It became too much an action movie instead of action with horror. Like it just wasn't that, like it just wasn't a scary thing anymore. To be fair, Resident Evil 5 wasn't very scary, but they still had the camp. There was still a lot of camp, I feel like. In Resident Evil 6, I'm not sure if there was camp still. To be fair, it's been a long time since I've played Resident Evil 6. So, yeah, it's been a long time.
okay, so yeah, it was 7.
It
So
was
after
7?
Ethan's
Okay.
original story, yeah, Chris gets his own thing, not a hero,
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, it played more like an action game.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, yeah. He couldn't believe it. He actually could
What
not
is
believe the fact
happening?
that it was that they did that.
I can
But
still
yeah,
hear
no,
him.
that just like I said, I know. It's just funny when you disappear. But yeah, that I just wanted to make that point because I'm like, yeah, that kind of just staples in the fact that Chris is just an action hero character.
Yeah.
So if they bring him back, he has to do the action hero scene. He has
Yeah.
to punchable. He has to do all that.
Yeah. I do
So
hope, like, the one thing I do hope they really overhaul, or maybe, what's it called? Like, change a little bit, is I hope they make the solo experience in Resident Evil 5 better. Because I do have to say, Shiva's AI in Resident Evil 5 is it's not the worst, but man, can she be annoying when you're playing solo. Like,
no,
Shiva is not like she's not that bad, but
I'm sure
wow,
they do
she
love
does have
it
her
when
moments.
it comes to it.
Yeah, so hopefully
I'm
if they
definitely sure.
do, yeah, if they do remake it in the new engine, they
Jelly,
have like some
jelly.
what?
They make a really hard difficulty for the game, but it's just the game just plays normally. It just has Shiva's original AI.
No, like I said, the AI isn't that bad, but like
It's just frustrating at
it
certain
was. I
points.
think the biggest problem with her AI is the movement. Sometimes she would get in the way, and sometimes she would blatantly would just like
Tracking.
not run away. Like her AI just wasn't as smart like as you wanted her to be. Like when there's blatantly like 4 or 5 enemies going down on her, she would just stand there and shoot instead of running
Oh
away.
my!
So, but yeah, it wasn't that bad. So hopefully they,
Yeah,
but
but
like with more modern AI systems, so
the
hopefully that she
current
can,
engine.
yeah, and the
I
current
would love
engine.
it if they do with the current engine, like or the new upcoming engine. If they try to do
Well,
a remaster of 5 and 6,
it's
it's
not a
still the
new
same.
engine. It's still
Oh,
this Resident Evil 7 engine.
okay.
It's just like they've gone better with it, and I think they've beefed it up a couple times. Um, yeah. So
Oh,
it's I also think a lot of their games run now on the RE engine, the new RE, the new slash current RE engine, the one they introduced in Resident Evil 7.
then
So
yeah, have to
yeah,
look forward to all
I
that.
am looking forward to that. And I'm like I said, I'm currently playing through Resident Evil 4, so it's been really fun so far. And yeah, it's been really fun. So, to get onto some news topics, Alchem.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the new thing, the big news story the past week has been not good stuff. And I'm sure you've seen a little bit of it of the Microsoft news. Have you seen the Microsoft news?
Uh, isn't that the Microsoft Initiative story?
Well, it's not just the initiative. It's the Microsoft
Oh, the
layoffs.
layoffs too. Yeah, the
Yeah,
layoffs. So,
nine over like
none of your
over 9,000 layoffs in Microsoft,
they're
and
like, rest assured, none of the games we're showing at the next thing. They're not bull. Okay.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, to be fair, so far from what we've seen, none of the games they did show off have been affected, because the games that
yeah,
the games that they announced a couple years ago, or like depending on the timeline, 5 years ago, those are the ones that have been canceled, not the ones they recently showed off.
yeah.
Because so far
I'm
we
just.
know the original Perfect Dark, the reboot of Perfect Dark has been canceled. The
Mhm.
new game from Rare has been canceled, called Everwilds or something like that.
Oh
The
yeah, I forgot.
MMO game, the MMO game from the devs of Elder Scrolls Online, that was canceled. And there was also a game that were a first person MMO game that was kind of like Destiny that they apparently canceled as well. I'm not sure if that's the same one from the Elder Scrolls devs. That might be the
Might
same
have been a
game,
safe
or
bet.
that might be a different game.
That might have been a safe bet.
That true. Honestly, I think it is actually quite I think it's dev suicide to make an MMO right now. I think it is like, do not try to open that market. You need to wait for one of the big ones to like lose popularity.
Yeah.
Like
Either
and
wait for
and
them
and
to
not like
wane or
yeah, and not to like
I don't know.
and not like lose popularity. I mean like, oh, they lost some players. Like I mean lose popularity. Like World of Warcraft is still going strong. Final Fantasy 14 is still going strong. Elder Scrolls Online with its smaller community is still going strong. Guild Wars 2 is still going strong. Like it's just like, how on earth do you break into this market when like even like the third, fourth, and fifth player bases are still going pretty strong, even when they're very small. Like even
the key thing is just gameplay and continuous outflow of live service activity.
Yeah, I mean another problem is
1 month or two, then that's it.
Yeah, another problem is that like all the new MMO games are then being compared to these games that have sometimes, like in World of Warcraft's case, almost 20 years of content.
Yes.
And like, how do you fight that? And the answer is, well, for a lot of devs, you don't. You release a game, you go bankrupt, and then the game goes away. Unless you're like New World, where you have Amazon backing you. So like, it's impossible.
That's the problem with the live service industry, because the live service industry has to compete with continuous live service industries that don't vanish. Most of these, and they have continuous stories that will keep going and going, which means that their player base will keep going and going. Unlike the current genre of video games, where you play, you get your game, you play for a few hours, you get a complete story, and you move on to the next thing. No, these are continuous stories that just will not end, because otherwise, they lose their player base. And if you're new to the market and you're going to compete with something that has years and years of story and gameplay and content, like you said, Jelly, really, really hard.
For every Marvel Rivals, there's 10 Concords, basically. Like there's a graveyard of live service games, and we're even starting to talk about more broader things. But I think there's even a bigger graveyard for MMOs. Like, what's a new MMO that was released that's still around like 5 years later? The only one I can think of is New World, honestly. Amazon's New World, and that's not even that old yet. Like that's like a couple years old. I feel like I think I own it. I don't even know how old it is. It's but so another thing that was also closed down is, which honestly I'm slightly surprised of, because you would think this is a cash cow, or maybe it just didn't pop off as much as they wanted it to, because Warcraft Rumble, basically the entire team has been laid off. Which I don't know if you know what Warcraft Rumble is, Alchem. Warcraft Rumble is the Warcraft. Basically, oh god, what's that? Oh god, it was that really popular mobile game that the people that made the one that had the Hog Rider in it, the Clash of Clans one.
Clash of Clans, yeah.
It was Clash of Clans, the one that had where you had the cards and you can play units on a field. So it's not the like the base building one. It's the other one.
Okay.
It's the one where it was a 1v1 PvP game where you could fight other people with decks. I actually played it for a little bit. It wasn't that bad. But it was Warcraft's version of that. And like apparently the whole team, basically the entire team, has been laid off, which is surprising, because you would think the mobile games is where Microsoft wants stuff to happen, because like that's where the money is for a lot of these people. And I think it's strange. Like, I think it's really strange. I guess it really wasn't doing as good as they thought it would be. And it's weird. It's really weird, in my opinion, that even the mobile games aren't safe. Because you would think, when it comes to like revenue, that's where Microsoft wants the games to be on, like mobile devices, because that's where a lot of money can be made in their eyes. But even those things aren't safe, which is crazy to me. And I'm honestly, Alchem, I can't remember if we talked about this or not, but I am super sad about Perfect Dark being canceled. I was so excited for that game.
A lot of people are. Like, everyone was waiting for it. Everyone was anticipating
it. It was going to be
years in the making.
I feel like it was going to... I thought it was going to be like the next Deus Ex or the next Prey 2017. Like, it was going to be the next immersive sim. That's what it looked like. And I was like, that's so cool. There hasn't been an immersive sim in a long time. Basically, the last one I remember being released in terms of immersive sim was the Prey 2017, and like Mankind Divided. And Mankind Divided, while
that was a while
good,
ago.
yeah, Mankind Divided, while good, is literally an unfinished game. Like there's supposed to be a third one, and we know about that, and it was canceled by what's it called? Square.
Yeah.
It was canceled by Square. But yeah, so I don't know what's happening at Microsoft. I do, even though I don't know about you, Alchem. I think it's time for a change at Microsoft.
Then don't worry. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening.
No,
Okay,
but I'm talking about management. I'm talking about upper. I think, like, I like Phil Spencer. You know, he is a gamer. You know, even though he does have the normal CEO PR stuff, but every CEO has to have PR. Like, they have to have those PR statements. I don't blame him for that. He's an actual gamer. He enjoys video games, but I think his leadership of Xbox hasn't worked because Xbox is bleeding everywhere. Basically, only Game Pass has been successful, but we only know it's been successful in terms of like engagement, and it's not been a financial success. We know that. So like, I feel like there has to be a change of leadership or a change of management because, and the reason I'm saying this is because I think the wrong people are being fired. Because these people are just trying to make video games, and for some reason, they're not being allowed to make video games. Because, like, okay, Alchem, we're near the end of the Xbox Series X generation, right? The Xbox has been talking about the next generation of Xbox. What games have been released for the Series X exclusively by Xbox? Like, no, you can't look it up. What games have been on?
No, I'm not.
What game? Like, there's nothing.
There's been a tremendous dry spell when it comes to new innovative games in both PlayStation and Xbox.
Not even innovative. Like there hasn't been any games. Like there hasn't even been like normally you could say, oh, they release sequels. They release this many sequels to all their established franchises. You know, like they didn't even.
Both the consoles can definitely say that there's not been any good game, and not good. Like there's just not been any games lately at all.
At least for PlayStation, there was like you can argue like the Gears of War,
maybe third party games,
not Gears of War. Sorry, God of War. God of War came out on the PS5.
Yeah.
Oh god, what's the robot one? The robot dinosaur one?
Oh, robot dinosaur.
Yeah.
Horizon.
Horizon. Yeah, there's that for the PS5. Astrobot technically for the PS5.
Astrobot was for the PS5. Other than that, there has not been any like anchor games or games that are like from the developers or anything like that. There's all just there are of course third party games, but that's not Xbox.
That's not a system seller though.
Yeah, none of them are system sellers. And come next generation, which I mean
is apparently
coming.
Seems
like they're trying to they're hinting that the next gen is coming, and I'm just like.
There's barely any games for them. Yeah, there's barely any games for the current generation.
It's like you guys are about to pull what PlayStation Vita did, where cool, nice little mini console, no games. Huh? What games?
Yeah, like there's 0 games.
But
and like you can't even say the Halo game because Halo was a cross, like it was a cross gen between Xbox One and Series X. Like it wasn't even exclusive at the time.
I'm putting on my tinfoil hat, Jelly. They're not replacing management. They're replacing the teams behind the games. You know why? They're gonna use
AI.
I'm just gonna say they're gonna replace them all with AI.
Look, if they do that, that will be the death of Xbox. I will tell you that.
It's practically dead already. They haven't made any games.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, like recently they've started making games, but it's basically only been from the studios that they've purchased. Like it hasn't been from Xbox.
It's not from them. It's literally they're just buying off other.
And it's also mostly just been Obsidian.
Yeah,
like Avowed came out.
And everything else that they've done is just literally announced layoffs and closures, and that's it.
Yep, it's crazy.
At this point, everyone's just anticipating the next big news from Microsoft. It's just going to be another layoff again.
Yep.
But
like they bought Activision Blizzard, and Activision Blizzard hasn't made anything yet. To be fair, that wasn't Limbo for a couple years, so like that you could argue that. But like now that it's official, You would think they'd start announcing things that like, oh, this is going to be
Hit the ground running or something.
our first project under Microsoft. This is what we're doing, but nothing like that's
Yeah.
happened. Instead,
Yeah,
Blizzard got gutted.
Yep.
Hmm.
I honestly, I don't. I feel like it's all just a show to let people or get people to think, oh no, we're still good, we're still alive, we're still fine. Even though, like behind the scenes, they're bleeding out. They're trying to do whatever they can to save face
Yeah.
and well, stay alive.
The only
That's
reason they're even still here is because Microsoft has like infinite money. I feel like if Xbox wasn't a Microsoft product, I think it would have been like it would have died a while ago. Because like basically the 360 was a good product. Don't get like it was an amazing product. The Xbox One had flaws, but it was a decent product. But like mid-generation Xbox One, I think they just started tanking. They started making terrible more worse and worse decisions. And like so like since the Xbox One, I feel like Xbox has just been like faffing about and just like losing money and not making good decisions, which is why I think it's time for new management at Xbox. I think whatever they decided to do hasn't worked. And Xbox Game Pass is an amazing deal for gamers. I fully embrace that. But Xbox Game Pass isn't sustainable. Like the only reason it's sustainable for Microsoft is because it's Microsoft and they can just constantly throw money and be okay with it. But like I don't see Xbox Game Pass ever making money, like ever. And it's proven by Sony, at least Sony and Nintendo, that you can do subscription models and it be profitable. And well, I don't know about profitable, but it can work because like the Nintendo subscription stuff and the PlayStation Plus, while not nearly as good deals, obviously, they still are crazy good for their money value, and they have been financial successes according to themselves. You know, like when companies talk about financial success, they're being truthful, almost guaranteed, because they love bragging about how well they're doing. And Microsoft never brags about how much money Game Pass is making. So that means they are not making money.
How many people are on.
They always talk about engagement, right? But Sony has straight up said that they're making money off of PlayStation Plus. Like they're making a ton of money off of it. And they also said like the highest tier is like the most subscribed to, which is interesting because the only thing, which I mean, it does say something because the only thing the highest tier does is it lets you play PlayStation Classics, which makes sense because I mean, the like literally the only reason for Nintendo subscription service most of the time is the Nintendo Classics.
Yeah.
Especially now that like the more expensive one has the GameCube games, and you could play like they recently just put on like the Strikers, the soccer game, which is pretty cool.
Oh, Mario Strikers.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, that's on the GameCube side of things. So, it's kind of crazy, and I feel like something has to change at Xbox because the gaming division of Microsoft has been losing since the 360 basically. And now to be fair, once again, no one's beating Nintendo now. No one's beating Nintendo. Nintendo is at the top and I don't think they're ever giving it away, you know? So you're only fighting against Sony. But basically Sony hasn't had any competition since the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 started fighting. The PlayStation 4 won really hard over the Xbox One, and the PS5 versus the Xbox Series X is literally a joke. Like, it was a no contest. The PS5 won, and it barely has any video games on it. Like, it has 3 exclusives, and it won. That I can remember. Because Xbox basically has 0 exclusives.
Yep.
And they own, like, every company, which is even worse.
That's why, like, I just keep looking at it. You have all this talent, all these different like IPs.
Yeah.
And you just
it's not just IPs.
It's their old ones. It's just like it's the same thing that what PlayStation does with its old IPs that they just sit on it and don't do anything. But instead of like doing anything with their old IPs, Microsoft is buying all the publishers and developers of, well, not publishers, the developers of all these other games, and they just sit on it.
Yep.
They don't. It's like
the only one that's been actively making games is Obsidian and Bethesda, technically. Because Bethesda released Starfield, but I mean but their next game from Bethesda is going to be like 5 years from now, because it's going to be Fallout 5 probably, or no, sorry, it's going to be Elder Scrolls 6, and that's like 4 or 5 years away. And Obsidian has been making games, but I mean, Obsidians have never. While I love Obsidian, first of all, they're not the old Obsidian. Like, they're not the people, like the people who made Fallout New Vegas and the Knights of the Republic 2. Most of those people have left. No offense to current Obsidian, but most of those people have left. So, like, current Obsidian right now is different. And while I love Outer Worlds, I really enjoyed Avowed. Like, they're not the same company, you know? And they're also not a company that's going to be making you blockbusters. You know, like, Obsidian makes good games, and I'm sure their sales are fine, but like, they're not making the headliners. You know, like, when was the last time Obsidian really made a headliner? Like, an outstanding headliner that wasn't a cult classic? Because like, people like, the internet loves Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas didn't sell very well. Like, it sold fine, but like, comparatively to what companies want, it didn't sell very well. You know what I mean? Like, they don't sell multiple millions of dollars of copies, and they also don't make microtransaction filled games. Like, they make DLCs, you know? Like, they make single player games with DLCs, which is, for a lot of companies, a dead end genre for some reason.
The era of DLCs have ended because now you have microtransactions.
Well, that depends on for AAAs, it does feel like that, but DLC still exists for a lot of games. It's why I feel like Capcom, I think, like, to slightly go back to Capcom is the example that I feel like a lot of people point to like AAA developers that still like that still have that old school game developer vibe, but making modern games. You know, like, true, Capcom did make that one dinosaur game, that live service dinosaur game that flopped really hard. Like, they don't have a hit every time, but Street Fighter is still going strong. Resident Evil is still going strong. Monster Hunter is still going strong. Like, people can have their individual problems with each of those games in those genres. Like, I've heard a lot of people having some problems with the new Monster Hunter game because it's not as, like, hardcore, and it was a little too easy for a lot of people, which, in my opinion, from the game, from what I've played, I can understand what you mean, but as a person who is not a hardcore Monster Hunter player, is Monster Hunter Wilds and World were great games for me. I still need to play more Wilds, honestly. And the Resident Evil games, I know, like, some people had a problem with Resident Evil going first person, but, like, you know, like I said, it's personal preferences when it comes to problems with Capcom games a lot of times, other than that dinosaur one. Because I feel like that dinosaur one was definitely a game that someone pitched and Capcom was like, that sounds crazy, let's do it. And like, it was interesting.
I forgot about that.
If that game was free to play, I think it had a chance, but it wasn't free to play.
Yeah.
I would have played it if it was free to play, but I wasn't spending money on that game because, like, well, mostly because I was like, there's no way this game exists after like a month.
No. It was really cool when I got to try it during the beta, but
it was interesting, but there was no way it was surviving.
No, it didn't have sustainability. I mean, it was the same gameplay loop over and over, and you can play that. You can only play that so much. After a while, you're just like, all right, I'm bored.
Yeah. So, like, Capcom, I feel like, is a really good example. It's also like Atlas. Atlas makes like big budget JRPGs, but like, they're just making our JRPGs, you know, and they sell millions of copies sometimes, and they're just still just doing their thing. It's like, guys, you can have a sustainable business making these types of games, but for some reason, the AAA devs just, or the AAA companies, because I don't think it's the devs. The devs do have there are something to blame for the devs, but I don't think it's just the developers' fault. It's like, it's a combination of all of them. I think there's been a lot of complacency and overhype in the AAA scene, and I also feel like the budgets in AAA game development have it's just too much. The problem is when you have a $1 billion budget, how on earth are you going to make $1 billion selling copies? You know, you won't make $1 billion just selling copies. What is happening? This is so weird.
Oh shoot! I think I went down.
Well,
yeah, that was me this time.
So I don't think it'll happen for just selling copies. So, oh, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Yeah, this time I went down. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. It's so weird. So,
but yeah,
I just don't.
About to be like, yeah, you're right about like certain publishers just doing their one thing, like Atlas with their RPGs, like Obsidian with most of their stuff. What's it called?
Capcom with their stuff.
Bethesda doing with their RPG style of games. Arc System with their fighting games. Like
though Arc System is apparently branching out. I saw that
off screen this time. It was you before. Now it's me.
Yeah, I mean for me it's been you every time.
It might just be.
I don't know what happened.
Just acting up apparently.
Maybe. But for like apparently Arc's been kind of branching out. Like they announced a bunch of games that aren't fighting games, which is really interesting. I don't know if you saw that or not, Alchem.
I saw Marvel Talk on, and I was like, "What?"
Well, yeah, they're working on that obviously, but they're more like they had a what's it called, a showcase, and all the games they showcased were not fighting games. I don't know if you saw that or not.
No, I didn't. I gotta go look at all the
games. They basically one of the head developers at Arc said they wanted their employees to make something other than fighting games to gain more perspective on stuff. So a bunch of the developers just made smaller games. Like I think one of them is a visual novel. One of them is like a top-down beat 'em up game. There's another one that's like an action RPG. So like they're making just some smaller games so their developers can gain more experience on other game genres and like more experience in general. And it's like that's what the video game industry, in my opinion, needs. Like it's true. It's weird Arc is not making fighting games, but well, first of all, they are because they're making the Marvel fighting game. But
like they're sticking to their guns,
but they're also
delving into new things.
Because also like the CEO said, like, because if I remember correctly, the Arc is known for Guilty Gear, right? Like that's one of the bigger games it's made. And he said like Guilty Gear started as a passion project from a couple developers and it eventually sold millions of copies. You know, and he said he wanted to get that vibe back to the company. So he went to all the employees and said, make a game that you want to make. Like, you know, it will be approved as long as it's got a relatively good scope and stuff like that. And he's basically said, let's make some games that you guys want to make. You know, it doesn't have to be a fighting game. It doesn't have to be like whatever. So we'll just see how, and then he said, we'll just see how it goes. And I think that's a really cool thing to happen. And honestly, that's what I thought Microsoft was doing. Is like, let's just start releasing games, you know? Let's just start spamming out games because they own so many companies. But like the opposite's been happening. Their output, I feel like, has slowed down somehow with owning all these companies, and they've just fired a ton of people. So like, I don't understand what they've been doing, and that's like this whole thing I've been talking about is why I think that Microsoft needs a leadership change, because whatever Phil Spencer's plan was, I don't think it's worked. And you've had like 10 years to try to make it work. And I think it's time for a new strategy. Well, actually, that's not true. Microsoft's option right now, what they're doing, at least from what I've seen, is they're doubling down. But like that's because it's really hard for Microsoft to admit that they were wrong or like they've done something wrong, because like they're such a huge company. They got to make sure that everything is always positive because of shareholder value and all that type of stuff. So exactly. They're doubling down on it. But like, no, even if you're doubling down, something has to change. Like, hopefully this is the start of Microsoft's new things. And I also I I just want that Perfect Dark game to somehow get put together. That game's been in the work for at least like it was announced in 2020 and they said they've been working on it for like 2 years. So that game's it's been in the oven for 7 years. To be fair, a game developer having 7 years is crazy. Like, game developers, please, for the love of God, like, what is happening? Like, why is things taking so much longer? Like, I understand game scopes having gone a lot bigger, but like, I also feel like that's like partly the game developers' faults. Like, it does feel like game development timelines have been like don't get me wrong, video games are more complicated than they've ever been, but like, I don't know, something has to change. Like, budgets can't be this crazy. The indie game scene has been proven that you can make games relatively fast. Like, I'm not talking about like make a game in 6 months, but I'm like, I feel like Perfect Dark shouldn't take 7 years to make, you know? I mean, whether that's the developer's fault or the management's fault or we
already have a good example of like a game that is really high level of like at least an appearance, and it took just a short amount of time. Expedition 33.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, Expedition 33 was made in like what, 3 or 4 years?
Yep.
I think.
And
with a budget of like $50 million or something like that. Like Expeditions 33 has proven that you can make an amazing game like that with high production value or relatively high production value. Like, obviously the graphics do have like some, like the actual facial expressions and stuff like that for Expedition 33 isn't that great, but like the game still looks amazing.
Yeah, most of the time didn't mind that.
Yeah, and it's like also one of the things. Awesome. Yeah, one of the things you can also say is like, do we really care about super detailed expressions on characters' faces? I mean, sometimes, but like when the development is 3 to 4 years, made by a relatively small team with a $50 million budget, no, it's not. Yeah. And like Perfect Dark, for example, I don't think that game takes 7 years to make, guys. Like I said, I'm not a game developer. I don't know how, like, I know concepts of how games are made. I've done coding before, so I know coding is complicated and nothing ever goes right. And all video games are duct taped together. I get that. But something needs to happen, especially in these AAA companies, where either something needs to change in terms of culture or something needs to change in terms of how things are pitched. Because things are just taking too long. And the budgets aren't matching of what you're actually selling unless you're making a free-to-play game with tons of microtransactions that's made to literally drain people's wallets of whales. So something has to change. And I hope these layoffs are the nail in the coffin for Microsoft's layoffs extravaganza, it feels like, in the past like 3 years. Hopefully this is the start of Microsoft's like up and up, because like it feels like Microsoft is just constantly losing. Like, actually, like, you know, to be fair, a couple months ago we were literally talking on the podcast how Microsoft was getting better because they started releasing games again. Like with Avowed, when the Avowed came out and like a bunch of the Obsidian stuff came out. And during the Xbox showcase, or the Summer Games, or the Xbox Showcase, like, they showed off a lot of cool games, but like, I don't know, what the heck is happening? It's so weird.
That's why I'm dreading it. I'm already calling it that they're soon going to announce, here's our next project, powered completely, and they will make this point to say, powered by, you know, AI. By the latest in AI technology. They will say that. That line will be said.
I don't even...
Probably in the next year.
I don't know if they'll do that. I understand why you think that, Alchem, but... Oh, God. It's probably the optimist... Or what's the word? Like... is it optimist?
Yeah, optimistic.
Optimistic. I'm being optimistic about this because I don't want that to be a thing. And I truly believe that I don't think AI can replace anything creative, and I think
no, it will not. This is a dumb idea, and I'm anticipating greed is going to be one of the driving factors here.
Yeah,
expenses and trying to low budget.
I've bashed Phil Spencer a lot during this section, but I do firmly believe that he doesn't believe in AI like that. Like, I don't think he believes AI can replace people. at least from what I've
Until
seen. It's hard to say because obviously there's a lot of PR speak. Whenever AI is brought up, everyone starts becoming a PR. It's just a PR statement. Like it's just a generic PR statement. I get that because AI is a buzzword, and especially I don't know if you've seen Alchem, but venture capitalists love the word AI right now.
AI, yeah. That's why it's like
So like, there's so much
you
venture
say that
capital
and they
being
fucking jizz their
dumped.
pants because of
Yeah,
that.
like literally all of they bust immediately, and all of a sudden you have an $80 million investment from venture
Like, I'm
capitalists.
investing in you. Like, we'll put money into this. I want you.
Yeah,
And it's just, and yet there's not been anything really, really good in terms of, except for maybe I guess in terms of like the film, film generation kind of stuff. Because I've seen what people could do with that stuff, and
yeah, but it's
yeah,
still
that is impressive.
blatantly AI. Like it's impressive, but
Yeah,
it's only impressive in terms of like it's cool that you can do that. But it's like, would you buy something from that? No. It's still worse
some people
than
will.
some people might, but it's still worse than like what you can make yourself or like what you could get someone else to make for you, you know? And I feel like it's not I don't know, it's still not good enough to be a product.
Until the day that I can use AI to make convincing YouTube poop, I won't. I won't get into it.
That's not true, Alchem. AI is already good at that. In fact, in my opinion, that's the only thing AI is good for.
No.
Like, don't you, Alchem? The best thing ever that AI has done is me watching AI voiced Joe Biden, Trump, and Barack Obama play Minecraft together.
I forgot about
That
that.
is
They're gamers. Yeah,
that is the best thing AI
that was a
has
great
ever
era.
produced, and honestly, I think it will never reach that. It will never be past that. That's peak. That
was
is
actually
peak
really
AI.
peak.
That is peak AI, and that's the best. But the
That
problem
was
is now
such
it's trying to be used seriously, and it's just not a good tool for being used seriously. It's
like
only
more
good
gonna
at
be a
making for
commercial
jokes.
thing than anything. Yeah.
I mean, like I agree with you, Alchem, but the problem is like, what are you selling? Like, what are you even selling?
Stuff to
It's
stupid people.
yeah. I mean, look, not to bring up these three letters, but it sounds like crypto and NFTs, but worse. You know, it's all the people that were making that stuff. It's just moved on to AI.
Yeah, stuff to stupid people. There we go. Thus
Yeah,
it'll work.
true. Yeah, I don't know if it'll work, but a lot of people are gonna lose money on it. I can definitely say that. I mean, a lot of people already lost money on it.
I was about to be like, they're already at, and you know who they
Yeah,
are? People
yeah,
who didn't look into it or study it or research it or get educated on it or like I keep saying, stupid people.
yeah. So I hope
Uh,
I'm also I don't know about you, Outcome, but I'm also really sad that Everwild has been canceled because
oh yeah, that
Rare
was.
has been like working on that game for so long, and
I honestly thought that was going to be Rare's comeback. They do
yeah,
this and like they're back on the map.
they're finally
And
out of this Sea of Thieves dungeon
yeah,
that
and
Microsoft has locked them in. They just threw them
and
back. They threw them back in the Sea of Thieves dungeon and locked the
yeah,
key.
we're never getting any Rare era games ever again. That
No,
ship has sailed, and my
I'm
stream
so
just died
sad.
again. God damn,
Unlucky. Can you still hear
what's
me?
going on with my stream today?
That's weird. Can
Hmm.
you still hear me? Nope, I don't think you can hear me. Unlucky. I was just about to go on the next
No, I
topic.
can hear you.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you now. It's just
Okay.
I don't know why, but my stream apparently keeps dropping frames.
Yeah,
So
I've seen it on my side too. Like you disappear briefly for me as
yeah,
well. That's weird. It's
yeah,
okay. We'll just push through.
yeah. We'll
So
push through.
the next topic. Speaking of Capcom, some interesting
Mhm.
stuff has come out from Capcom, and like I said, people can have problems with Capcom, but Capcom has been making really good decisions recently, and something I think you and I have appreciated the most because you and I are primarily, at least I am. I don't know about you actually, Alchem. I guess you are now. I feel like is you're primarily a PC gamer. Because I think
Yeah.
before you weren't, if I remember correctly. I
No.
couldn't. Yeah, before you were mostly a console gamer. But you know, I'm not saying that in a derogatory term. I'm just saying that like you were primarily a console gamer, but I've generally always been a PC gamer for a long time. Basically since StarCraft came out. Since StarCraft 2 came out, I was
Day
mostly
one.
a console gamer.
Oh no,
Or
he disappeared
mostly
again. That's
I've
Mike.
disappeared.
So,
Mostly
ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are still alive, I'm sorry for my internet connection. For
yeah.
some reason, it's going up and down. So that's partial. That's the reason why we keep disappearing and vanishing.
Yeah.
So
Weirdly,
Jelly
I
should be
can
appearing
hear.
in a few seconds,
Weirdly, I
still
can hear
talking,
Alchem the whole
as if
time.
nothing happened.
It's so weird. It's so weird that I can
Three, two,
hear
one, go.
Alchem. Oh, Alchem, can you hear me now? Nope, not yet.
Yeah,
We'll
I can
see.
hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? It.
Yep.
I want to say, Alchem, every time this has happened, I could hear you perfectly the whole time. It's so weird. I don't know what's happening.
I'm gonna start bad mouthing you when it happens now.
So yeah, you were a console gamer and then you became a PC gamer, and I was a console gamer as a kid, and then when StarCraft 2 came out, I became primarily a PC
You
gamer.
became PC.
Yeah. So what Capcom has shown to the world is that publishing games on PC is worth it. Because Capcom's financial report has come out, and PC sales is now a third of the Capcom's revenue. So they have made bank on their PC sales, and it is now 31% of their company's total sales. And it's been increasing almost 10% every year.
Yeah.
Since they started doing it. So it's like Capcom is proving to everyone that releasing games on PC is worth it. Even when their PC ports kind of suck sometimes, because it's like the Monster Hunter Wilds stuff was kind of bad on PC. Like their releases on PC are kind of weird and they're not always good. So it is strange. So it just shows that PC is worth being put on, you know?
Mm-hmm. It is. It definitely is.
And
it's like I mean, for one thing,
yeah.
all console gamer, majority, except for like except when you're playing like sports games, but majority of console game players eventually become PC players. And sure enough, video gaming isn't like a kid hobby kind of thing. It isn't something where
Yeah.
you grow out of it. No, you chill, relax with it after work, do whatever. Hell,
Yeah.
most of the games are mature at this point anyway, so that marketplace is ripe for any company to just continue to well, mostly the gaming company I'm referring to, any of the gaming companies to target. Like to make games specifically for PC, or not specifically, but to launch alongside console game launches. That's good. You will get a market. You
Yeah.
have a market.
Yeah. And
But yeah.
it's just great because like all their PC titles have sold millions of copies basically. Basically none of the games that they've launched on PC has not sold less than 1 million copies. The one that sold the least, unfortunately, I guess I don't know if it's unfortunately, but like I in my opinion, unfortunately, because it is kind of their like it's what you think of Capcom as Street Fighter 6, because it sold 1.3 million copies on PC, which is the lowest out of all the games so far. But it's also like fighting games are a hard sell for a lot of people, and while I'm part of that problem. I don't generally buy fighting games because it's just not really for me, and it's just one of those things where I'm not that target audience, and in fighting games, even though they're probably the most popular they've been in a long time, it's still a very niche genre, you know? So I'm happy that they managed to sell 1 million copies on PC, but it is definitely the least selling. But like Dragon's Dogma 2 sold 1 million, slightly over 1 million. And that's like Dragon Dogma is also an RPG it's an old RPG that the games between 1 and 2, the timeline was very long. And all the Monster Hunter games sold over a couple million. The Street Fighter the Resident Evil games have sold over 1 million. So it's crazy. They made 52.723 billion yen, which is $363 million on Steam alone, which apparently is a 61% increase of increase over the fiscal year. And Valve's platform is now responsible for 31.3% of company sales. So it's actually not even PC sales, it's just Steam sales. Which is actually, when you think about it, even crazier. That to think of, when they're talking about PC sales, they're not talking about PC. They're talking about Steam sales only. Like, it's literally only Steam sales. Which is kind of crazy. And I don't know why, Alchem, but you've disappeared from me. Like, completely. Even though I have your thing. Let me just relaunch this and maybe... Maybe...
That's weird.
Yeah, like, I can see you on your screen share thing, but I can't see you on this anymore. I don't know. I'll try to keep fixing it. I don't know why it's been done this. It's probably because it's disconnected and reconnected so many times that it just doesn't know what to do with itself anymore. Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know, you're gone from me. I don't know why. But yeah. So that is the Capcom story that I just think it's interesting to see, because I feel like there's been so much resistance to put games on PC for some reason.
There you go.
And then Capcom's proving it's like you're just leaving money on the table if you don't.
Yeah.
Which I feel like hopefully this proves to other companies that to release their games on PC as well as console, if you are a publisher that does that. I can understand for smaller companies, but like I hope the AA companies start understanding this, because like if you're an indie company, I get it. First of all, if you're an indie company, you're generally only releasing on PC anyway, because that's the cheapest option generally, just to release your game on Steam and hope for the best. And I get that. Like, I 100% get that. There's a lot of things that, because releasing games on Xbox and Steam or Xbox and PlayStation, there are a lot more hurdles you have to jump over, and Nintendo. But all you have to do is, I think you just have to buy a license thing on Steam for like $100 or something like that, and you can release a game on Steam. So like, it doesn't cost that much. So I hope for at least the AA companies that they start releasing more games on Steam.
Here's hoping.
Yeah. So, Alchem, I have two more stories for you. One story, honestly, I saw it, and then I was like, interesting. And then I moved on, and then I saw it again, and I was like, damn, like this popped off. And another one that I am very invested in, and I really have complicated feelings about this. And so I feel like we've talked about this before, slightly, because we've talked about Riot Games. I've talked about my relationship with Riot and how I love and hate them. And we've talked about their recent partnership with Coinbase, the crypto stuff.
Yeah.
And we talked about that, right? But, Alchem, they were in the news again last week, technically, because they have recently started, they unflagged it, basically, because they weren't allowed to before. But they have allowed Tier 1 Valorant and League of Legends teams to have esports betting sponsorships. They are allowing them to have betting sponsorships now, because they weren't allowed that before. And I am in such a conflicted opinion about this, because I don't remember if I've told you, but I've had a almost renaissance on sports, like traditional sports. I've started watching basketball again. I've started watching baseball, hockey, all that stuff, because I used to watch it tons as a kid and as a teenager, and I kind of just stopped. I can't remember why. I kind of like fell out of love of sports for a lot of reasons. And I've recently been like, you know what? I want to watch again and start watching some stuff. And I enjoyed it. But Alchem, the gambling ads are everywhere, and I can't escape them. DraftKings and like all the betting apps and all that stuff, like they're everywhere, and you can't escape them. And like, funny enough, League and Valorant were the only two where you didn't see that in any type of sport, because Counter-Strike is filled with gambling stuff. Like that's not a secret. But like Riot was kind of like the last guard for gambling stuff, because all the traditional sports have given up and now everyone is sponsored by gambling stuff. Esports has always been has always been had gambling stuff, like with Counter-Strike and all. There's always been gambling stuff, but League and Valorant didn't have it because Riot straight up didn't allow teams to do it. If you were part of their if you were a tier 1 Valorant or League of Legends team, you were not allowed to take a sports betting or an esports betting sponsorship. But now you are. You are now allowed. And I'm conflicted, Alchem. I'm very conflicted. Because the problem is just because the sponsorships weren't allowed doesn't mean it wasn't happening. You know? And it was basically a black market of esports betting for League and Valorant. And so if Riot starts policing it, that could be better, you know? Like, that could be a positive impact on that. Because unfortunately, for good or ill, people are going to bet on things. It's just, for some reason, that's what we do as humans. We bet on things. It is probably an addiction. So it's probably better for Riot to step in and like actually be a, like, this is the type of things you're allowed to do. This is the things you're not allowed to do. They've had like guidelines and stuff like that. And I think the biggest one in my opinion is that if a esports team like Team Liquid, FlyQuest, any of those bigger names want a sponsorship from a gambling or betting site, Riot has to approve it. Like, they have to go through a vetting service from Riot. So I think, first of all, that's a good safeguard, because like if they're doing anything crazy, like very stupid things, Riot will not allow that because they don't want things to topple. They saw what happened with FTX and TSM. They were literally a part of that. So they know what bad things can happen, you know? So yeah, Alchem, I don't know how you feel about like all the gambling. Like, I guess the first question is, have you watched sports before? I don't think we've ever talked about this. Were you ever a sports watcher?
I'm not a big sports watcher, but I do watch my sports from time to time. It's just I'm not so into it to be following along everything. But yes, I do see the gambling.
The gambling ads are so much, man.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere now.
Everywhere. They're practically in every commercial break. There's always going to be one.
Yeah. And also, I just want to say they don't work because I don't remember any of their names. Other than, like, I guess DraftKings. But that's because that's the one I see the most. That's the one I see the most.
They flooded the most out of everything.
Yeah.
I always see DraftKings in almost every commercial break.
Yeah. And like, I know you weren't a huge esports fan other than like the fighting game community, and the fighting game community is not big enough for corporate sponsors for like, like I know there is betting in fighting games, but it's all like personal. Like it's all like small groups.
It's small stakes and just
it's like $20 on this guy, $20 on that guy. Exactly. Like literally during the matches. Really huge. Like during the matches in the crowd.
There's never been anything big like DraftKings or anything like that getting involved. So them getting involved with esports over there for Riot Games, I'm just like, huh.
Yeah, I mean, gambling has been like sports betting and like websites like that have been a big thing in Counter-Strike. Basically forever. So like, that's always been kind of infested with it. It's been even worse recently, honestly, in my opinion. But like, Riot was kind of the last bastion. It's weird to say, like they were the last like big organization that has been fighting against esports betting. Other than like, okay, do we count Nintendo? Because they technically have esports stuff.
I don't know. Doesn't Nintendo
they run Pokemon Unite, the Pokemon Unite esports stuff? They run that. I don't know if I count them because it's Nintendo and they're weird. You know what? For now, I'll count them. They are the last bastion of hope, and I doubt they're ever going to allow gambling on Pokemon. So I mean, I guess that's the one thing that will never be gambling on officially for Pokemon Unite, I guess. But yeah, for League of Legends and Valorant Tier 1 teams, they are going to allow them. For some reason, you're not allowed to do it if you're a Tier 2 team. I don't know why. Like
you're not big enough.
Honestly, I think that's one of the reasons. Like it's well, I mean, okay, first of all, tier 2 in League of Legends and what's it called? Valorant, tier 2 basically barely exists. Like it's technically officially allowed in like officially partnered with Riot, but like they get very little support. Ironically, one of the benefits they talked about in this is that some of the profits from the portion of Riot's revenue from these things are going to be put into the tier 2 scene, which is interesting, but we'll see how much what that actually means.
If it trickles down to if it trickles down to help them, then of course they're going to be into it.
Yeah,
even if they can't technically be
they're not allowed official sponsorships though. But I mean, like the tier 2 scene in League especially is just a joke, especially in NA. Like I know you don't know anything about that, but I've like learned about the tier 2 scene in NA, and it's hilariously bad. Like, let me give you an example. There was a team that doesn't exist anymore, but they were called Near Airport. They were a bunch of older, maybe that's not fair to them. They were a bunch of people that used to be on pro teams and no longer are. Most of them are just content creators, or they went back to school and stuff like that. So like they weren't currently pro. They decided to make a team and they entered the tier 2 scene in NA, and they would literally face people that were like Bronze League. Like it was such a skill difference that it's insane. Like the tier 2 scene is like, it's crazy. Like the skill difference is nuts. The European tier 2 scene actually apparently is a lot better from what I've watched, but the NA scene, at least, it's a Wild West. But yeah, it's weird to say, Alchem, but like I am very conflicted about this because I get it. There's so much money in this, and it's hard to I'm impressed how long Riot said no, because I am sure every single pro team, all the teams and the CEOs were begging Riot to allow them to take gambling sponsorships because there's so much money in it. So I'm impressed they said no for so long, but it doesn't surprise me that they finally allow it. But I think the one thing I do want to read to you, Alchem, is their thing headlined, "We're protecting the viewer experience," because I want your opinion on this because it's very interesting to me. So they, and this is a quote from them. This is a paragraph from their announcement that they are allowing it. "The last thing we want to do is disrupt League of Legends esports and VCT broadcast." VCT is their Valorant stuff, "with an influx of sports betting ads. So we've established at the onset that Riot-owned broadcasts and social channels will be stay betting free, which means no ads, no sponsored segments from betting partners, and no betting partners' logos on team jerseys. It'll be up to each team to craft how sports betting related content shows up on their channels with the guidelines of the sponsorship program, content platform, TOS, and local regulations." And so what I wanted to ask you, Alchem, is that it's kind of crazy to me that they're not even letting the logos be on the jerseys. Like, that's some hardcore cracking down on betting ads. Because, like, I was expecting the logos of a bunch of these sites to be on the jerseys now, but like they're not even allowing them to be on jerseys. Like that's insane. Jesus. Like even in like what's it called in European soccer, like the jerseys are filled with ads or logos.
Huh.
Like I'm kind of surprised. Like in the NBA, Alchem, you know how the NBA uniform has been like the tank top?
Yeah.
A couple before the pandemic, like I think it was like I don't remember. For like a year or two, they changed the official uniform to be t-shirts. And they redesigned the NBA jersey to be t-shirts. primary reason, there was more spaces to put ads. There was more places to put logos.
Oh my
But
lord.
everyone hated it so much that they went back to the tank tops.
I'm glad because
Yeah, I mean
the
it's iconic. The jersey, the NBA jersey is iconic. It's like if they tried to change the football uniform or something like that, like the football helmet or something like that. You know?
get bigger so there's more ad space.
Yeah, so they can put logos on.
Stickers all over the place.
Yeah. So Alchem, with that kind of sad thing that I've talked about, because I hate talking about gambling because it's so annoying to me, but I can't stop
You're gonna
it.
go even sadder, aren't you?
No, I'm actually going to become happy. I wanted to be happy for once, Alchem.
I no longer
I'll be
sad,
on.
I wish
I'll
to be happy.
I honestly, Alchem, I'll be honest for you. I was really tempted to put crypto NFT stories right after that, but honestly, I couldn't find anything that was interesting because it's just the same
Thank
stuff.
God.
It's just the same stuff, you know. Like the problem is I don't want to, even with the joke, I don't want to just rehash the same story with slightly different names of things, you know. Like it's like, oh, something got rugged pulled again, or like,
Again.
oh, someone bought an NFT that's super expensive and now it's not available again. It's just like the same story with slightly different names. Only slightly. Sometimes it is kind of funny. There are a couple stories that I might talk about in the future because it's like the same guy over and over again. But whatever. That's for future. That's for future me and Alchem to torture over. What I wanted to talk to you about, Alchem, is tinychef. Have you seen tinychef?
Oh, him. Yeah. I
Because
feel like
the amazing news is that tinychef was saved. The show is no longer canceled. I don't know if you saw this.
I did.
And it's amazing that it's now saved. And I don't know what they necessarily mean by that. Like,
I give it a season.
I think they got another season approved or something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're going independent or something like that. I think it's that they got another season approved from what I can tell.
I give it one season because no one really will watch this. They just got involved because they saw the cute little guy on Twitter or wherever the hell, Instagram, TikTok, wherever. They just saw it there.
I mean, it popped
made a
off
big fuss
everywhere.
about it. Yeah. And when the show actually comes out and they have to look at the ratings and look at how many people are actually watching, it'll be basically the same it was, if not just for a small moment, it'll be slightly bigger than
I think
average.
I think the first episode is going to be a lot more than what they're like. It's going to be a lot more, but after the first episode, unfortunately, it's probably going to go back.
Because it is at the end of the day, it is a little kid
It's
show.
a kid
show. It is a show for preschoolers, for children, and it's not going to retain anyone's attention, especially not any adults who were the ones.
I mean, maybe they could change the show a little bit.
Yeah,
you never know. They could
show on their tablets.
I mean, honestly, that might be a good idea. They probably should. Honestly, they should be putting this on YouTube. They 100% should be putting this on YouTube. I'm sure there will be a lot of parents that will be totally willing to put this on a playlist and hit play for their kids. I mean, it's better than other things. Like, I don't necessarily agree with kids constantly watching TV and stuff like that. I mean, I'm kind of a hypocrite for saying that, but you know what I mean? Like, it being replaced as parenting. But at least this is a good show. Like, it's not gonna like be terrible. It's better than the YouTube Kids app, because the YouTube Kids app is terrible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely, it's garbage.
It's just a cesspool of terrible stuff, and also stuff that is not for kids, I must say. Like, I don't know. Like, speaking of this is slightly off topic, but do you know the YouTube Kids Music app? There's a song on it, right? I follow a bunch of artists. I followed him. He used to be one of the guys that were on Kids React, and he became Teens React, sorry. He is now a music artist. His music is not for kids. There is swear words. They're talking about money. They're talking about sex all the time. All the like every other lyric is that. And I can't listen to it on the YouTube Music app because it's designated as a YouTube kids song. so I can't use it on the regular music app because I have to watch the video as well, because that's how the music app for kids work, because they make you thing. And the reason I think is because it's called Wendy, and it uses the Wendy's logo part, like it's a art of the Wendy's girl, and it's a song about the guy like banging a girl basically, called Wendy, like, and it's on the YouTube Music Kids app. I'm like, what the heck? Why is this on the YouTube Music Kit? Why is it flagged for kids? This is so stupid. So I'd much rather than watch Tiny Chef than that. You know? It's so stupid, Alchem. It hurts my soul. So I hope Tiny Chef survives. You know?
I do too, but seeing how it only blew up just because it got the attention of people on like social media.
Yeah, I think
like they're gonna keep watching
the interesting thing is that it hasn't really, yeah, that, like, I hope it does well, but and the interesting thing is that they haven't said how it's been saved, so we don't know if it's been renewed by Nickelodeon or picked up by another TV network, or they bought the rights to it, or like, we don't know how it's been saved. So it's just been interesting to see what they do. What I really hope is that they are able to buy the rights to Tiny Chef, so they can just start making it on YouTube or something like that, like making Tiny Chef episodes and just putting on YouTube as a passion project while they try to figure out funding, or maybe they can fund it through YouTube or YouTube memberships, or just becoming a completely independent thing. Because honestly,
that would be the best result.
Honestly, I think that Tiny Chef, while it might not have an audience on Nickelodeon, I think it would definitely have an audience on YouTube. Or any social media platform, really. Putting that on TikTok, I think it would explode. It would also be an amazing tool for like social media platforms as well. It's like, look what type of content can be put on our stuff. We're not as like terrible for kids as everyone says we are, you know? Like Tiny Chef would be an amazing thing. Like if YouTube bought them and it's just a YouTube exclusive thing that you could play on YouTube and say, hey parents, do you want something super kid friendly? Watch Tiny Chef. Like, I think that'd be a marketing genius, honestly. Now that I say that, I think it'd be, if YouTube hasn't bought this, I think that's a detriment to YouTube. Like, that's a failure of YouTube, because they constantly need to fight the whole thing of YouTube is bad for kids, because it's like destroying attention spans. The social media is bad for kids. It's hard to argue that Tiny Chef is not bad for kids. It's a good, like, from what I've seen, it's a decent show for preschoolers. It's a good kids show. You know, like, would I watch it today now? I mean, not all the time. It's very wholesome. So maybe if I need something very wholesome, it's like every once in a while, like, you know what? Let's watch an episode of Blue's Clues, or like, let's watch an episode of SpongeBob or something like that, you know, just to...
I'll be honest with you. That kind of mentality, the whole watching just a little bit, that's the perfect mentality for TikTok or YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
Like, where you can literally have amazing, like, short little little scenes or short little videos.
It's just good wholesome moments.
And boom, it'll explode.
Yeah, it's like when it's like the social media post of when Steve from Blue's Clues posted his thing during the pandemic, talking to adults that watched Blue's Clues as a kid. Like, I'll be the first to admit, I cried. Like, I was like, oh my god. Like, I know it's an actor, and I know he's an actor, and I know all that stuff, but damn, that hit me hard. My inner child cried, and my outer adult cried as well. We all cried. All versions of me cried. To be fair, it's very easy to make me cry. I cry at the drop of a hat. I'll admit it. I'll be the first to admit it. It's probably my mom's fault. No. She cries at the drop of a hat too. Like, it's probably my mom's fault. I get it from her. But yeah, Alchem, it was... Yeah. I was just like, it's just nice to see some positive stuff happening because of an outcry on social media. You know what I mean? Exactly. It's like, this is why everyone talks about how terrible social media is. I'm like, no, I agree. But like, this is also why social media also should stay. We should not delete it, because stuff like this, like Tiny Chef would have been canceled and no one would have known about it if it wasn't for the fact.
No one would have said anything. No one even would have known it existed.
Yep.
Or at
And
least the grand majority of people.
yeah. And I really hope that they continue working on whatever they're working, and I really hope that it is. I think the worst case scenario for this is Nickelodeon just renewed it for a third season, and it's gonna make that season, and then it's gonna be canceled, and they're gonna make sure that they don't do what they did before, so they can't get people behind it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope that it isn't just being renewed because of the social media presence, and then like the first episode pops off, and then everyone stops watching. Or like, I mean, honestly, because of the social media presence, maybe parents saw it. I mean, if I was a parent, this is definitely a show I would show. Like, it's a nice, wholesome show, you know? Like, it's not terrible. Yeah. It's good, well written for a kid. Like, I hope it survives. Because, I mean, shows like this also, like, shows like this got it, like, it's so nice to see a kid's show that's actually good and not just, like, terrible. There's so many shows that are like that. So, you know.
Just have to wait and see.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. So, Alchem, unless you have anything else to bring up, why don't you do the shout-outs?
All right. Now, guys, I know it's been a while and we've been gone for a bit, but it's actually glad to see you guys, and thank you everyone who popped in. Whether you're here on the live stream on my channel or you're watching through the YouTube channel over on Jellyside. So I hope you guys. No, we're not getting it.
I don't want to bring. Yeah, I don't want to bring that up. Jesus, that's a cesspool.
I don't want to bring that up. I'm waiting for that maybe to like get to the end of it. I have a stake in that too because but that's gonna be something for later.
We'll see. That's a wait and see thing.
That's a wait and see thing. That's now. But like I was saying, thank you everyone who popped in. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. And for those of you listening in and you enjoyed, enjoyed my take in it. Hi, my name's Alchem. I'm just a little tanuki VTuber who's just having his fun. And you can catch me over on Twitch and on YouTube as well, where I just game and just comment and just do whatever the heck it is I think is fun. Yeah. Feel free to pop in over on my channels and, enjoy. If you want to support me, you can always support me by just simply dropping a follow. You can do various other things, subscribing, especially on YouTube and stuff, or just dropping bits or donations. You can also catch me over on Instagram, TikTok, and on Twitter. So you can catch me where I post just random shorts, videos, pictures, and whatnot. Yeah, you can catch me there, and you can always, as always, you can catch me here on our usual podcast time on Sundays, where I co-host alongside the Techno Jelly, who is now going to take it away.
Yes, I am the Techno Jelly. Thank you everyone for being here. If you're on this YouTube channel, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. 95% of the people who watch the videos on my YouTube channel aren't subscribed. Please subscribe. I really appreciate it. Surprise gasp face. Hopefully, I am currently working on getting the podcast to be on other podcasting platforms. The primary one I'm working right now on is Spotify. It is really annoying to get a podcast to be on Spotify, surprisingly. They desperately want you to be a part of like a network and stuff like that, and I don't want to do that. So, we'll figure it out. I'll have to talk about Alchem. I keep meaning to talk to Alchem about that. But yeah, so I'm working on getting it on other podcast platforms. So hopefully that will be soon. If you'd like to check me out on other things, I've started streaming more regularly on Twitch. There's no really schedule. I'm just kind of doing it whenever I want to at nighttime for me. And it's been going pretty well. I've been, like I said earlier in the podcast before, I've been playing Resident Evil 4 Remastered or Remake or whatever it's called, whatever the official name is. And I've also been playing Usamari Petty Derby. I can't pronounce it. A Horse Girl game. I've been playing Horse Girl game, and I'm probably not going to be streaming that one anymore. I'm just going to play it on myself because there's so much dialogue that it hurts. It hurts. I already talk so much, so I don't want to just constantly read things out. That's what I do all the time, every day. So I'd rather do slightly less of that. If you like, and if you like to follow, unfortunately, I can in fact read, so it's annoying. I should just stop being able to read. Honestly, it helped me a lot. So if you like to follow me over there on Twitch, I appreciate it. If you want to follow me on other places, I have a Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads, all at the Techno. Thank you everyone for watching this episode of Two Buds One Podcast, episode 50. We'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye, everyone.
Later, guys.